Hi, I'm David Guastella, staff writer for the Independent Collegian and co-producer of this show, Frogtown Breakdown. This is the first of many episodes where we'll bring you news from around the city of Toledo. This week we're talking about elections. Tuesday is election day, and for many students, this will be their first opportunity to vote in a national election. Though to many the profile of a midterm election is not as high as a presidential election, it is still important that students registered come out and vote. In Ohio, this is an exceptionally important election. We have a governor's race, an open seat Senate, and every House seat is up for grabs on Tuesday. Now this election season, we've seen a lot of excitement. Everything from the Tea Party to anti-incumbent fever to a couple of amusing political blunders. We're going to discuss it all with Professor David H. Davis from the University of Toledo's Political Science Department. Hi, I'm here with David Davis, Professor of Political Science at the University of Toledo and author of the book Ignoring the Apocalypse. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
So we're here to talk about the election, which is this Tuesday.
Well, that's certainly right.
So for the 2010 election, there are 18 congressional districts with 18 House of Representatives seats open in Ohio this year. Which ones are important? Which ones should we look out for?
Well, I'm mostly concerned here in Toledo with the 9th District.
The 9th District?
Marcy Kaptur, the incumbent congresswoman, versus Rich Ayat.
And she's been here since 1983?
Election of 1982.
1982.
Started her service in January of 1983.
What do you think of Marcy Kaptur?
Well, she's a very good congresswoman. She's been in it a long time. She knows what she's doing. She's intelligent. She's experienced. She has a good record of getting money for Toledo, which is what she takes a lot of pride in.
Has she had any hand in the economic development here in Toledo?
Oh yes, she's brought in lots of money. Somehow that's going to be a criticism of her, but it's a big help to the city of Toledo. Things like the Veterans Memorial Bridge.
Oh, what was her involvement in that?
Well, she pushed it through Congress and then pushed the Federal Highway Administration to get the money up to Toledo. So
okay.
That's a lot of money that came in. She does this all the time.
Now, what about her opponent, Rich Ayat? What do you think about his campaign so far?
Well, he's made some rather major blunders. I mean, he is now the national laughingstock for having put on a Nazi uniform, and he doesn't even seem to know that that's a bad thing.
Do you think that there's any coming back from that?
No, I don't. Ayat has not many qualifications. He's not experienced in politics. He's a businessman, sold out his company 6 or 8 years ago and has some money to burn. So I suppose that's his biggest advantage on that stuff.
Okay. Now, I understand that he also has the support of the Tea Party here in Toledo.
He's very conservative, yes, he does. Sounds like he came from Hollywood Central Casting for what a conservative should sound like. Lower taxes, lower taxes. He was asked in the debate what the answer to our foreign policy was, and he said it's lower taxes. Seems stupid to me, but that's what he said.
Now, where is he at in the polls right now?
We don't have any polls. Polls are very expensive for a race like this, where right from the beginning Marcy Kaptur is expected to win it, so people don't bother to do polling. She often wins by 75% of the vote.
Oh, wow. And now, if she does take the seat again, as the incumbent, which is, it's likely normally, but a lot of people are saying there's an anti-incumbent fever going around.
Well, there certainly is anti-incumbent fever going around, but she's in very strong shape. I don't think she should be terribly concerned.
Now, how important is Ohio's 9th district in regards to the...
Well, we're 1 seat out of 435, so that way is important. People have generally figured that she will win, so when you're making calculations of whether it'll change, whether the House will change from the Democrats to the Republicans, she's seen as a certain victory for the Democrats. She's counted as solid. There's not much interest in the 9th District nationally because there's much doubt.
Okay. So let me turn the attention to Ohio again. Voinovich has decided not to run again. So you've got Lee Fisher, who abandoned, or I shouldn't say abandoned, but left the position to run as lieutenant governor, to run for the seat. Do you think Fisher has the chops to get the Senate seat?
Well, there is polling on this, and he's way behind. It's if you'd asked people 6 months or a year ago, they would have predicted a very even race. In fact, Fisher has not done very well. Portman is highly qualified. He's a former congressman, that is, he's a former U.S. representative. He's had experience in the White House under George Bush Sr. as well as under George Bush Jr. as the head of the Office of Management Budget. So he's an extremely well-qualified man.
Okay, and now with Portman and with Fisher, what do you think the possible relationships will be with Sherrod Brown? Whoever.
Well, it'll make a certain amount of difference which of the two wins. That right now the polling shows that Portman is way ahead, and Fisher has actually done a public service, and he's turned over money that he thinks would be wasted on his own campaign. He's turned it over to the Democratic Party to help win the governorship and to help win other races. So if you're a Fisher supporter, it's kind of a sad time.
Now, do you think, though, the relationship with Sherrod Brown is just going to be based on party lines, or is it deeper than that?
Well, they both think alike, so if by some chance he were elected, I think they'd be a good team. If
for Fisher and Brown is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both Democrats, both moderate to liberal Democrat. Portman's elected, obviously there'd be a party difference. But even when there's a party difference in the Senate, you will find the senators from the states do hang together. They're a team, they're not as close a team as they might be. Very rare to see a split.
Was that what was it like with Brown and Voinovich in this past term, or?
Well, they both are working for the people of Ohio, so definitely that's the case. Voinovich is a pretty moderate Republican. He actually voted to help the Democrats on a number of occasions. That's not because he's from Ohio. That's because he's generally moderate and favors these things.
So to talk about a race where there is an incumbent involved, Ted Strickland, governor of Ohio, running against opponent John Kasich. What do you think about that race so far?
Well, that's an extremely close race. Kasich was predicted a month or two ago to be way ahead. Recent polling shows they're very close. So Kasich has lost his big lead. He still may have a point or two, but that's, with polling, you never know when they're within a point or two. They have to be more than 3 or 4 points ahead before the pollsters will say that this is definitely one direction or another.
Now, historically, does Ohio go red, blue?
We're a swing state. That means we swing from one party to the other.
Okay. And would you say that, or let me rephrase that, some people have said before that the way Ohio votes is a good way to gauge how the U.S. is going to vote?
Oh, that's typical. Yes, we're the most average state in the country.
Most average?
Yeah, if you get any measure in income, race, religion, all these socio-economic variables, we're the most average in the country.
The most average. It's interesting. So
maybe we should say we're the most typical.
Most typical
Americans.
Doesn't have the same connotations, I guess. After the debate, I got a chance to ask Governor Strickland a question. He had mentioned several times during the debate about industry jobs,
yes.
And the connotation almost there is that it's blue-collar jobs, and I asked him, what kind of white-collar jobs for college, recent college graduates, people who are very concerned to be coming out into this, almost record unemployment. And he said that there was several things, and he specifically mentioned that he was doing in Toledo, and he specifically mentioned, both actually him and Kasich mentioned sunlight here. And do you see that as a possible, do you see Kasich, first of all, do you see Strickland's involvement in something like the solar industry in Toledo?
Well, he's been trying to support it. Many people have been trying to support it. We feel we have an edge. We have some good engineering here, some good people from the physics department, not the engineering school, but the physics department. So we have a lot of technical knowledge.
Okay, and what about Toledo as being, the home for, something so, I don't want to say single-minded, but something very specific as solar energy? Are we setting ourselves up for kind of a Detroit thing?
Well, let's hope if we are, it's in 40 or 50 years.
Well, of course, but...
not right now. Well, I think our problem is we have a lot of effort in solar energy, but so do a number of other places. In fact, if you look around the country, the state of Ohio ranks only 10th for solar energy research and development.
Who are our big competitors there?
Well, California's a big competitor, Arizona's a big competitor. If you have more sunlight, you're more likely to be in business.
I mean, do you think there's any future with other alternative energy production here in Toledo, or I should say in Northwest Ohio? With
wind is the other thing that we can produce. There's a wind farm down in Bowling Green. Toledo does not have it's not the windiest place in the country. The Great Plains are the windiest place in the country, or over open water. So we do not have a natural advantage on it. But we do have this advantage of good programs in the physics department and the engineering department.
Okay, now these jobs, this all basically boils down to, though, for people that are going to be graduating, is there going to be new jobs, more jobs in Toledo, more jobs in Ohio?
Well, there are engineering jobs, there are jobs to support them. Obviously, companies need accountants and lawyers and all those things. Manufacturing, of course, is manufacturing, and even high-tech manufacturing is not necessarily a white-collar job.
And who do you think would be better, though, a better governor to sort of groom and nurture an industry like that, Kasich or Strickland?
Well, Strickland, I think, is not getting full credit for what he's doing. The problem is we're in a gigantic recession, the so-called Great Recession, and it's very hard to do things. President Obama is getting a lot of criticisms. People say to Obama, well, you had the stimulus package, but it didn't do enough. Well, it did a whole lot. And we're probably much better off because of the stimulus package, but we still have high employment.
Okay. So any predictions then for the gubernatorial race?
No predictions I want to do for more than 3 days.
Okay.
I read the polls like any good political scientist, and it's very close for governorship. It's, in some ways, if you look at a single poll, it's too close to call. On the other hand, they almost always have a point or two for Kasich, so
okay,
that's as much of a prediction as I think we can give you today.
All right. Well, what about when we're looking at the map of the country on Tuesday night? Do you think it's going to light up all one color, or do you think?
Well, it depends on whether you talk about the Senate or the House of Representatives. The Senate looks like it will stay Democratic, not by a whole lot of votes, but by a couple of votes. So instead of having 59, they might have 52 or 53. The House of Representatives, many people predict, will go over to a Republican majority by, I don't know, 15, 20 votes, something like that.
Okay, and you would agree with this prediction?
I'm a political scientist, I read the polls.
Very good. Well, thank you for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Happy to talk to you. Hope we meet again sometime.
Sometime soon. So to recap, Dr. Davis says that the Kasich-Strickland race is too close to call at this point, and that Marcy Kaptur, in her 28 years as representative for Toledo, will probably once again win Ohio's 9th district. Thank you for watching. Please tune in next time when we will be discussing the food crisis in Toledo's inner city. This was Frogtown Breakdown, and I'm David Guastella.